Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and you're watching the Paranormal Dolls. I have my beautiful co-host, Moongirl, with me, as always.
Oh,
Unless she's traveling, and then
yeah.
forget it. She doesn't want to hear from any one of us. No joking.
No, I love everyone. Mostly. Mostly.
Oh boy. So we want to thank everyone for following us and sending us messages and emails. And please subscribe, share, and join the chat room. And we will be there in the chat room as well. So today we have a great guest,
Mhm.
Chuck Mudrat. I know. Yes, it's you. It's
As you
you.
said, great. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Expectations up here. It's not,
Mm.
No.
Yeah.
All of our guests are great guests.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotcha.
We don't accept anybody down here.
Yeah.
That's a little mean.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Beneath our show. Please
I
don't.
I need a little bit of what the
Her
Gemini.
Gemini's coming out.
Yeah, my Gemini is coming out, so watch out, people.
And you know what? All air signs, I just realized Gemini, Aqua, and Libra. Woo!
Yes.
Libra.
Team air signs. Biatches. Mhm.
So, welcome, Chuck. Tell us about you. Come on.
Well,
He
Chuck
likes long
Mudrat
walks at the
Webb.
beach.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I like margaritas. No, pina coladas.
Pina
But,
coladas,
Pina
okay?
coladas, yes.
Pina and
that's the way to
dancing in
live
the
right there.
rain.
But no, I've done the paranormal world since I was a child. My father was big into it, so he would always take me out to places. So it was just growing up, uh, knowing about it, dealing with it. Fortunately, on my end, I'm told I'm a void or a neutralizer.
Mhm.
So, when I go to places, I don't really feel stuff. But I guess that's a good thing. So, because whenever I go with a group, I'm always the guy who can go into any place that nobody else wants to because I'm not scared. I don't feel worried about it.
Right.
I don't feel like anything's going to happen to me, which most of the time it doesn't. But I'm currently with a group, the Paradox Paranormal. We've got a guy named Phil, Renee. Then we got the Haunted Dolls, which is kind of like our little sister group where it's all the ladies with Stephanie, Lindsay, and Melissa. Renee is part of that, of course, as well.
We need to have all y'all on one day.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. But then, of course, me, myself, as, Mudrat, I go out and do a lot of other stuff, just not with even the group, just because I have more free time on my hands. My kids are all grown and gone. So I go, do a lot of interaction stuff with other groups, like, Journey into the Haunted, which is familiar with Lauren and Gina. When I like to go to events, just because I'm a paranormal enthusiast, not just an investigator. I will go to all sorts of stuff just because I want the experience. I want to get out there and see it and feel it for myself. That includes like a lot of the haunted tours, because those definitely you really can investigate on those, but it's cool to at least get the history.
Right.
But yeah, I've been adult life active since probably 97 is when I started going out doing stuff on my own. But then I took a little hiatus because the kids, but then came back and
Those
forced.
pesky kids.
I know, right? Finally, they're out of here, so I don't have to worry about it. Just kidding,
Mama
guys.
Bear, I'm counting the days.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
right. Just make sure they don't watch this video. That's all I'm saying.
Right? Mommy doesn't love us. No, it's just horrible. Horrible.
She's been trying to get rid of you for years, kids. Get out.
Ghost hunting is more important. No.
Right. Sometimes they feel like that and they act like that. And you're like, dude, I brought you with me. Come on.
So, he was also your father, like you said. Now, was your
Mhm.
father also into the paranormal, or?
Yeah, he actually was. Like I said, he was a religious man in the sense of, that's how he was raised, but he also raised me to ask questions and, figure out for myself. Don't always judge a book by a cover. Don't always believe what you're being told. So question things. But, we used to go out and the first memory that I have of really doing that is he was also a kind of a party guy. And like I grew up around a fraternity house. Um,
Okay.
and at that fraternity house, the soda machine was downstairs,
Uh-huh.
so I would have to go downstairs to go get it. Well, when you walk down the stairs, the first room that's on the left hand side, out of the side of my eye, I would see like something. I was like, "What was that?" And it looked like a lady in a white dress. But of course, then I'm scared. I don't want to say, "Hang on, run upstairs." My brother's up there like weenie. And then whenever I start, like talking to my brother about it, one of the fraternity brothers, heard me talking about it and was like, "Oh, dude, you're talking about the lady downstairs in white, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, yeah. So you've seen her? Yeah. She's apparently it was a sorority house beforehand, and something had gone wrong during her pledge week, and she
Mm.
had passed
Oh,
away in that room."
Ooh.
So she just kept making appearances. But that's like my earliest memory one. We used to go out to up in the far corner of Oklahoma because I was born in Oklahoma City, well, actually in Edmond, Oklahoma, basically northern Oklahoma City, and up in the little corner up near Joplin, Missouri.
Mhm.
There's what they call the spook lights or the ghost lights. And I remember my dad, we'd go out there and we'd sit on the road. It's this one highway, I think it's like 50. And, you're in Oklahoma facing towards Missouri, towards Joplin. And you just watch like down in the trees on the road, you would see ghost lights moving.
Mm.
I remember going and doing that. We saw some lights there. My father had only one place he always told me I was never allowed to go, which he said was the gateway to hell. But he never told me where it was or what it was.
I was about to
And
say, so of course you
So
went.
where did you go?
that's exactly it. Once I basically became an adult, I'm sitting there looking through my paranormal books because that we didn't have internet back then,
Right.
and
Mhm.
I'm going through all the. I just collected all these books on the paranormal, and I come across basically a thing called Stoll Cemetery in Kansas, that was known as the gateway to hell. It was even said that the Pope, when flying over America from A to B, had them redirect the flight to go around the cemetery. So I was just like, "Oh, that is freaking sweet. I got to go there." And I asked my dad, I'm like, "Hey, so was it Stoll Cemetery?" And he was like, "Where'd you get that name?" I mean, like, he got white and serious.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, I never got to go before he passed away. But
Mm.
I was up at McIntyre Villa in Atchison, Kansas. On my way back, we did stop at Stoll Cemetery. I was there maybe 5 minutes before. I mean, like literally, I parked. I and Renee had gone. I got out of the car. She's not even out of the car yet. I'm starting to walk up. I got 2 pictures. That's it. Before a car screeches to a halt on the road, a guy jumps out, starts yelling at me, "Hey, what are you doing in there?" I'm like, "I'm just here to, check out the gravesite and honor the dead." "You know somebody in there?" I'm like, "Well, probably not. They're all dead, bro." Maybe I should have said that. But then he just basically like, "You got to get out of there now." Pulled up behind my car, started acting like he had a gun. "I'm calling the cops." And I'm like, "Whoa, dude. Okay, we'll
Wow.
leave, man. We'll leave." So if you're ever considering going there, just know that the locals are not friendly. But the place
Wow.
is really cool. There was a church that was on like the patio is still there,
Right.
or like the concrete portion that was built on, and apparently they've had a lot of problem with people who worship Satan supposedly, go up there and they do all sorts of stupid stuff, which I understand that's why they don't want people in there.
Right.
There was even one time where the whole town, I think there was like 100 people had come to go to this cemetery because it was supposedly the gateway of hell. They since have torn down the church, but like I said, the platform's still there. There's a lot of really old headstones there. It is cool to go see, but aren't cool.
I'm still stuck on the part where you said the Pope like flew the other way. In my head, I pictured the Pope picking up his little gown and like flapping.
Yep. That's what made me really want to go. You know, whenever he's like, "Oh no, that's too bad. I can't go there. We got to go around. Go around." You can do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You would think that he would be blessing the thing,
right?
You know, well, see, exactly. If there's something that bad, I kind of want to know why you weren't sending people there.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Like,
but again, you know, you just can't get in there because they have like signs that says no trespassing. But then the gate was open, so I walked in, and like I said, it got real ugly.
No trespassing, no voodoo, no good times.
Right? I had to put away my voodoo dolls. Jeez.
Yeah, you had to. Did you, with the pictures that you said you took, did you catch anything, or was it just like the vibe as you got there?
I took a picture kind of the graveyard and where the concrete portion was, where the church had stood. And then I took a picture next to a tombstone. I don't know off the top of my head, but it was a very unique name. So I was like, it was something like devil or, you know, slay or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was like, that's crazy. So, or no, I think it was witch. I think it said witch.
And are people, like, Glenda?
Right. You know, and that's why I was like, this is cool. But apparently the caretakers watch it like a hawk.
Obviously. They come that fast.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, that being said, it's one of those ones we just did like a whole weekend of just going to all these different cemeteries, different haunted locations. That weekend we went to the Sally House. And of course, right down the way from the Sally House is the McIntyre Villa, or 1889 McIntyre Villa, that's owned by Stephanie. I highly suggest going there. The Sally House was really cool. Got a little bit of stuff. They have a sign up that says don't go in the basement. So don't go in the basement because I wouldn't do that. You know? But it says don't go in there, has a little sign across there. But the McIntyre, so much more stuff, so much more activity. It's a much bigger house. That and Stephanie is a hoot. I mean, she is very entertaining. Can't post her on a lot of stuff because her mouth will get her in trouble. But she says that herself. She is an awesome lady. Like I said, it's the McIntyre Villa. If you guys ever get a chance, you should definitely go.
Okay. And so now, was the rest of the family into paranormal, or?
My kids have gone with me a couple times. Where I might be a void. My youngest is even more so, because normally with my voidness or whatever you know neutralizing, it's pretty much just on me. Which we actually have videos of. There was we basically had a Boo buddy, or it was a Raggedy Ann REM pod that was going off, and we had a K2 meter next to it. And I'm like, well, this is really cool. It just kept going off. Well, I get my camera, I'm like, hey, I want to film this. So I lean into it, and when I lean in, get next to it, it all stops. And I was like, well, that sucks. So then I sit back up. When I sit back up, it all came back on. I lean in, it all stops.
Yeah.
I mean, we did it several times, and like several people were recording it. It was just very strange. And that's when they started saying that I'm a void or a neutralizer.
Well, for those who don't know, what that is, do you want to tell them what it is?
They, you know, depending on who you talk to on if it's the void or neutralizer, same thing basically. Basically, I cancel the energy, which is of course what most of the spirits need to communicate and what they present themselves through. So when I come in, if say there's something very active, I can stop it, not on purpose, but I just do. Like my aura, my area around me just kind of neutralizes it. But again, for me, it's only just close to my body. My youngest son, he can walk into a room and it just stops. We took him to the Haunted Hill House in Mineral Wells, Texas. And like literally, he was like, this is boring, because every room he went into, it could be going crazy, active. He walks in, it just stops. And he was just like, this is boring. So yeah, I've taken him to the Emily Morgan in San Antonio and Haunted Hill House. And because he is such a big void, he doesn't have a good time. Now my other son and his girlfriend go with us a lot. They don't feel anything, or his girlfriend kind of does. She's kind of learning to tap into it. But my oldest son doesn't really feel anything. He just, basically participates with us, where he does, like Estes experiments, which was kind of funny because when we were doing that, it was saying stuff like, you need to move, or we're going to do violent things to you. But he doesn't understand that that's what it's saying. Yeah. We're hearing it. And we're like, maybe we should have a move. And his girlfriend's like, nah, leave him there for a couple more minutes. He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. Dust it off.
But yeah, they do like to participate. Now, unfortunately, both my parents and my brother have passed away, so they no longer do the stuff. My brother was never into it. My dad was. My mom would be like, "Yeah, you guys go have fun," But it was mainly my dad that did this stuff with me.
Right. Now, was he a neutralizer?
I couldn't tell you because, at that point, I never studied that far into it. We just went to go, see the spectacle. Let's go find stuff. The Lady of White Rock Lake and, the Lady in White on the lake, because almost every big lake has the Lady in White.
Yeah, you
like
noticed that too, huh?
She's everywhere. So we went to go investigate several places like that, but he never had anything stopped because he was around that I'm aware of. I do know that one time he was at a house that something sat on him and he couldn't move. He was like paralyzed for like 10 minutes till he used all of his energy to jump up and scream, and it scared the crap out of all the guys that were with him. And they're like, dude, what's going on? And he's like, I've been sitting there for 10 minutes. I couldn't move, couldn't do anything. I can tell you everything you did, but I couldn't move. But that's probably the biggest thing I ever heard happen with him.
Yeah, my partner is a neutralizer, so I usually tell him, go away.
Go away, Larry.
Go away.
Yeah, I get that feeling, especially when I go with groups, because I tell them up front, I'm like, hey guys, I am a neutralizer just in case. Right. So of course, then if we're having a boring night, they all blame me. They're like, you bastard, and I'm like, guys, I have no control over it. I just, sorry, let's go. The one thing that I do have a lot of success with is when we do the Estes experiments. People, when they go under, whatever is very good at communicating with me. Maybe I just know how to ask the right questions, and have the conversation with them. I am very good with that. But me going under, that's a joke. I can't ever hear anything, even when it's going on. It's like, shh. I'm like, it's just too much. So I'm good at asking the questions, but not listening.
That's okay.
Typical man, can't listen worth anything.
Have you ever been hurt on one of your investigations, or you felt like attacked or anything like that, or someone you were with?
There have been several people that I was with that have had stuff. I have only ever once, and it was at Haunted Hill House. I went home and I had looked like 3 scratches down my chest. Didn't notice it until I went home, started to take my shirt off, go get in the shower. I see in the mirror, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? Exactly, because I'm not used to anything ever being or touching or doing anything around me. So, because of that, I have I really like the Haunted Hill House. That's kind of like our go-to place. We like to go there a lot. But in McIntyre Villa in Atchison, Phil was up there with me, and we had a really interesting session with one of the main spirits, or a guy who supposedly committed suicide there. His name was Charles Donovan. We use the SB7 sometimes, but we have found that Necrophonics app, before we did not believe in apps at all in any way. We're like, yeah, sure, whatever. We started somebody suggested the Necrophonics, so we went ahead and loaded it. And of course, it works offline, so it's not connected to anything. And then whenever we were at several locations, we kept getting our names. Names are one thing, but then whenever it actually starts saying stuff like Mudrat, never.
I got it to say Moongirl a few times on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it just had this air of legitimacy to me because it's actually saying something. And like when we were at McIntyre Villa, it actually said Charles Donovan, the full name. And we were like, and he was one of the people that was communicating with us. He got very angry with us because we brought a trigger object. Being from Texas, we had a handgun. And we know
Howdy,
that
partner. No.
Exactly. We knew that he had committed suicide. Now, we thought it was a handgun, but turns out it was a .22 rifle. We didn't do enough investigation, I guess. And but he was still very upset because when we broke out the gun, put it out, we started getting like angry voice from Charles Donovan over the necrophonics and telling us, get gun out. So we finally said, okay, cut it out. Went and moved the gun. We took it outside. But then that night, because Phil kind of he was the one who was under and did most of the communications. And I guess he was saying something that Charles Donovan didn't like. And it punched him in the eye. Like his eye, or cut his eye. We don't know which one it was, but did something to his eye. I ended up having to drive all the way home because he has a cut on his eye, which we have photos of. You can clearly see it. It happened that night when we were trying to go to sleep for a couple hours. So we had, that was like a 10-hour drive. Right. So that way we had a little bit of sleep before we had to drive home. And it really messed it up. He had to go to the doctor afterwards. Of course, we've had several people get scratched, pushed, touched. Phil at Yorktown actually felt like he got choked downstairs in the boiler room. Renee gets a lot of scratches and touches. So, but again, I really don't get much of anything because, I was shocked when I got the scratches. And that just made me go, oh, I like this place even more.
It was like you with apps. Full disclosure, I don't fully believe in apps. Have I used them before? Absolutely. Am I going to continue to use them? Yes, I am. But I don't fully believe in them. But like you said, I did get some kind of cool stuff with the necrophonics. I did hear it say my name and other things. My friend, unfortunately, her brother passed away. And we were in my house. We're like, we're going to go over there. Can y'all, kind of talk to us? And they're like, it came out to the blue house. I've never been to her house. It was like a pastel blue house, and she totally freaked out. So, I mean, sometimes you do get some pretty cool stuff with the necrophonics, for sure.
Absolutely. And for me, even with necrophonics, I have such a hard time because all that, the white noise and the stuff, just like with the spirit boxes. Because of all the stuff, I don't quite hear the stuff as well as other people. So I really like stuff that actually puts it in print. Like I have an Ovilus, I have a Tempest. We've even used the app Spirit Talker, which seems to be pretty decent. But again, it's an app, so it's like, but I like them because I can then, if it says something, I'm like, what does it say? And I can look and actually see what the word was.
So what would be your favorite paranormal equipment that your go-to?
Okay, with that one, I like visual stuff, especially because I'm the one who does a lot of the recording with stuff. So visual just pops better on camera for showing that there could possibly be evidence. Because, of course, our first function as Paradox, that's short for like para documentation, is to try to debunk it and say, what could this have been? And so we hardcore go into, this happened, let's see what is causing that. So I like the visual stuff, like the K2 meter looks really good. We have the tripwire. Ghost Stop also had another one, the tracker, I think it's called. That one, I don't use that one as often. It's not as reliable as, say, the tripwire. but cat balls for anybody who's starting. They call them cat balls. We like to call them ghost grenades or flashbangs. But those are something that's great for people just starting.
Ghost balls, no.
Give me a couple of them right there.
Ghost balls.
Yeah, nice. Guys, I got them everywhere. They're on me. But yeah, like I said, I like the visual stuff. But then we have stuff like the EDI, oh gosh, we bought way too much stuff. This is not a cheap hobby. That's one thing I do have to say, because we've also got like all the security cameras that go everywhere. The best thing is at least just being able to record. A lot of people like EVP, not my thing, just because, again, I don't hear anything. So I have like a Zoom little recorder, which is fantastic. But then I don't hear the stuff, and then I have to go back and listen to it. I'm over like, just trying to, of course, all paranormal people reviewing footage or, audio is a nightmare. That's the ugly side of paranormal investigations. For those who haven't ever done it, know that it's not all fun and games. It's a lot of work behind it, and there's a lot of downtime and boring times. Sorry, I didn't even answer it though. I would have to say probably like the Tempest or the Ovilus. They're both about the same price. There's like $100 difference. And with the new Ovilus, it actually has a lot of the same stuff that the Tempest has. Now, I will say I really like the Tempest. For one, it's just like a little box with a little handle on the bottom. It can come out in phrases, in single words. You can even put it on Spanish, which actually helped out whenever we went to Haunted Hill House, because we
my people.
I'm telling you, I would love for you to be with us, because upstairs where the active stuff is, we kept getting stuff in Spanish. One of the girls that was with us, on one of the haunted dolls, her name was Lindsay, and she speaks Spanish fluently. A white lady, but she did good.
Yay!
She was up there, and because we were getting stuff coming across the voice box in Spanish, and she's like, "Oh, I know that." So she started having a conversation back and forth. So yeah, it worked awesome. But yeah, with the Tempest, it actually has it in Spanish. So I mean, it can communicate with the box now. That doesn't help me any, because I'm still trying to learn. I only know poquito, very little. But that is probably my favorite one, because it also has it gauges the temperature, the barometric pressure. It's just got a lot of stuff in one small box. So that's probably my favorite piece.
Yes. And we will make you an honorary Latino. Yay! Yeah. Lindsay too, because you know Spanish.
Nice.
Yes.
It's all for
Mexican Visa card. No.
Yeah, right. I lost mine. I'm sorry.
Oh Lordy. So now, do you see yourself going to any particular place that you haven't gone to before?
Oh, there's so many places out there that I want to go to. I mean, currently this coming weekend, I'm going to a place called Cheney in Illinois, the Joliet prison in Illinois as well, because I'm a Blues Brothers fan, and that's where he was shot at. When he's first leaving. I got to go visit the outside of it, but I didn't get to go in. There in September, I'm going to Trans-Allegheny, Sweetwater. There's the outdoor amusement park that's abandoned. I don't remember the name of it. But we're doing those on like one big trip in September. Also going to Point Pleasant, just so we can go see the Mothman statue and touch his shiny.
I want to go. Actually, I've been seeing like little memes where people are like putting like a coin in the Mothman's buttocks.
Right. Yeah, it's like, stop putting it in his crack.
Take a picture with his butt, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, they gave him a tramp stamp too.
Yes, I loved it.
But I mean, yeah, if you haven't seen it, that's actually hilarious, that because they got this big steel statue of the Mothman, and you're like, well, that's cool, but then you walk around to the backside of it, he's got a badonkadonk, it's sitting there like, woo,
and his like tramp stamp is a butterfly. No.
Right. But yeah,
Early
that's
2000s, baby. Made it without a tramp stamp. Yay.
oh, absolutely. But yeah, there's of course, unfortunately, Bobby Mackey's is going to be gone. That's when I was on my list. There, so Waverly. I mean, there's so many places I want to go. Doing what I can to get out there because most of them are really expensive, and then to get a group big enough that everybody can throw in to go to it. It's got to be a lot of people I trust because, as we've all experienced, you go to an investigation and one person can ruin the whole thing. So it's got to be people I can trust.
Yes.
Yeah, big time. It just takes one. And, it's even kind of crappier because there will be some times that you go with somebody that you think is awesome. And then you get to a place and you realize, I don't really mesh with this person all that much. They were wearing a mask, and there's definitely two sides to them, and you unfortunately find out too late about that.
See, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just drinking.
Yeah,
So,
it's
but
true.
Trying to keep my mouth shut.
Out there, you're going to get that anywhere you go. But of course, the Conjuring House. That's a big one I want to go to. Right here, it's kind of weird because being here in Denton, Texas, I grew up with what is now known as the Goatman's Bridge, the famous bridge that a lot of those shows go to. It's actually the old Alton Bridge, but now known famously as the Goatman's Bridge. Back in my high school days, we used to drive across that bridge. Now you can't because they've closed it off and everything. But I mean, I remember going, that was back in 94, 92. We were driving across that bridge. Yes, I'm old. We won't talk about it. But
we're all 30 here. 20, 30 maybe.
Yeah, right. It was awesome. But see, growing up with that there, it's like, nothing to me yet. So many people, I tell them where I'm at, and they're like, oh my God, you're right next to them. I'm like, oh yeah, that place. Watch out for homeless people.
It's because you get so used to the place. Oh, sorry, Glenda.
That's what happens is it just gets a reputation because of a TV show. Somebody filmed it.
Yep.
And that was it, and you may or may not have anything.
Absolutely. Well, it does actually have a lot of stuff that happens at it, but also the flip side of it is because it has become so famous. The lady Becky Vickers, she actually wrote the book about Goatman's Bridge, and she used to do tours there all the time. Well, now she has to worry about, because it has been on all the shows, you get a lot of, we got 2 colleges, major name colleges here, plus several junior colleges. Those college kids go out there and they're like, oh, there goes those tour guys. And they will screw around with them. They'll wear like robes and go carry candles out into the trees just to mess with people, which on one end I'm like, funny, but on the other end it's like, come on guys, let them do their thing,
Right. Yeah. But you could understand. And let's face it, if we were at college age, we would probably
like I said, I can't blame them. I would do the same. I know I can see me out there going, but I mean, hell, I'll do that now almost. But it's still, have fun with it. But, at least afterwards, don't just be jerks about it, because there have also been several murders there since. Unfortunately, one high school kid was thrown off the bridge.
Wow.
There was a drug deal gone bad there. That's the ugly side of it, but it's still a great place. And then, of course, here in Texas, people don't realize how big Texas is. So, they're like, oh man, you got so many places in Texas. Yeah, we do. But to get to some of them, you're looking 6, 10, 14 hours. Right. I mean, I believe, Moongirl, from me to you is what, 12 hours?
Probably, because I'm literally at the border. 956, love you.
Yeah,
RGB, but even from Corpus is a few hours.
Yeah.
And then San Antonio is like about 6 for me. And then Austin's even more. So it just keeps going higher and higher.
Okay. Yeah. So it's probably about, I would say, 12 hours, because San Antonio is about 6 for me as well. So to do that extra, because I'm in the far north Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And, there's so much here, but they're like, oh, you're in Texas, can't you just pop down to Yorktown?
No,
not just pop down there. In my area, there are a lot of places, like there's the 209 house in Cleburne, the Haunted Hill House there in Mineral Wells with the Baker Hotel. God, one day I hope they open that up to people. I was lucky enough to get to go back in 2002 and actually do an investigation there.
Wow.
And it was so cool. But
tell us about it.
Okay, well, there's basically I was with at the time, it was still pretty. This is back before they had all those fun little gadgets and stuff. You actually had like take the pictures and you had to go develop them to see if you got anything.
Right.
We did have radios. I was with the Metroplex Paranormal Association, which was like the biggest one in North Texas. That's why we were able to get in there. And the lady who owned it, she met us there. She told us the only thing we couldn't do was go down. We could go all the way up, but we couldn't go down, which there were 2 floors down. I guess it was because of flooding or just not safe. But we could go all up, just going to go down, which sucks because I also hear that, which wasn't until like the last year, I hear that the Baker had tunnels that that went to other spots, like the Hill House in Mineral Wells, that if I had any clue, I would have gone down there. But back then I had no idea. So I just got to go through all of that. The Mr. Baker himself, this hotel was like a place that the stars would go, outside of Hollywood, they would come here because it had like Judy Garland, this is back during their heyday. Right. Judy Garland, during the Wizard of Oz times. You had the Three Stooges. I actually slept in the Three Stooges room. It was a certain room that they had because there's 3 separate rooms that actually had connecting doors, so they didn't actually have to go out in the hall to see each other and practice and do stuff and basically deal with fans.
Right.
They close your eyes? The ghost?
No. But they did not, nothing like that happened to us. I was worried about it, but they did keep, the doors had this really weird thing where on the inside of the door, you open it up and it's kind of like a box. You put your clothes in there and you close it. That way, when housekeeping comes by, they don't have to disturb you. They just open up the other side, take the clothes and go do house cleaning.
Right.
Well, since it was a famous room, that was one of the few rooms that still had doors on it. As I'm sleeping in there, those doors just, like I said, since it's a cabinet, the outside one kept banging. And then the inside one would open up and then bang. And it wasn't until I asked permission, because I had forgotten to. It was like, hey, is it okay if I sleep here? Then it stopped. But we got, we heard a little boy giggling and running, a dog chasing him up in the actual Baker suite, the room that Mr. Baker stayed in, had a beautiful oak door that was hand carved, but it was heavy. We had to push it open, and then as we're going around, his room, because he had a back door that was the servants' entrance. We're over by the back door, and all of a sudden the front door just slammed shut. It could not have been wind. It was way too heavy to be wind. He also had a little prohibition cabinet in the cupboard. You go over and push up part of the wall, it would go in, and that's where they would hide their alcohol. It just cool stuff like that. They had what they call the Rose Room, which was a ballroom downstairs. Everything was pink, including the mirrors. Upstairs, they had the ballroom up high, which was the only place I ever got an orb that I actually somewhat believed in. Because most of the time, I view orbs as dust, bugs, stuff like that. That's a hot topic there for people. But I had taken a picture where the orb was like this big, but you could only see half of it because half of it's hiding behind a pole that was about 30 feet away from me. Ooh. So you could only see half the orb, and it was just the way you're looking. And I had to print out the photos. Unfortunately, since then, it's been 2022. Okay. I've lost most of my photos. I actually found a few of them the other day. I did post them on my Facebook and I think even TikTok, Instagram, stuff like that. But I did post the few that I had showing that, hey, I was there. See? In Mineral Wells, they also had the Nazareth Hospital. Unfortunately, because of, it's just not safe enough to go in there anymore. But that was a really cool hotspot for people to go to. They also have an asylum there. that it has a little bit of activity, but just the town of Mineral Wells has so much activity and stuff going on there. People could go on forever about Haunted Hill House. That's where I actually got to meet Moongirl for the first time, and it was an awesome place. She slept in my favorite room. That Jacob's room is just so awesome to me.
Yeah.
What,
it was
what
definitely
did you
a
have
fun
anything?
experience.
I was like, did you have anything happen to you in Jacob's room?
No, I was hoping I would, but no, I didn't have any. I guess he was off that night.
Well, see, it's funny too, because that night was the night that I was there. It was an event with being held by the Haunted Hill House, and you were there, and you were with because it was separated in two groups. You were with one group that was upstairs in Joshua's room, and when something happened that you guys heard, we in our group, because we have it on film. Film is right across from me, and I'm on this side. We're on two different sides of the room, both recording. Something ran across the roof, and it was a one-story building in that room, and it was clear as day. It sounded like somebody my size, not a small guy, running across the roof. And then I run outside with my camera to film up there to make sure that it wasn't, there was nobody out there, no rocks. But it happened the exact same time that you guys heard what sounded like a chair being thrown over in Joshua's room.
Behind the wall. I forgot what we were asking, to make a noise or something, to make yourself known. Oh, because there was a gentleman there who was deaf, so he can feel like the vibration. So we were asking if he could do something that would make the man be able to kind of feel him or sense him. And then boom, it was really loud. It sounded like somebody picked up a chair and hit the back of the wall, where it even looked like it was kind of, and we had no idea, unbeknownst to us, that something happened downstairs where their group was.
Yep. And that's also the room where the girl, they're probably one of their most famous videos from there. The girl got yanked off the bed, and I mean, they have cameras all over the house except for in the bathrooms. And it was clear as day that this girl got yanked off the bed by something that was not a rope. The angles of it and the speed of it, that was not something that could be faked. Same girl a year later got scratched on her back and sent a photo because she had come back, and she has nasty gashes down her back, and they have a photo of that. A lot of people get scratched there. I will say my youngest son, even though he is a void, when we were at Haunted Hill House, he slept in Jacob's room. He went to go take a nap while the rest of us kept investigating, because I typically try not to sleep at investigations, just because I spent money. I want every moment I can get doing something. And he woke up and started violently vomiting bad. Wow. And we were like, could have been this. He was like, no, it was the pizza I ate. We're like, sure, dude, because that's not something that would normally happen to him. That came from Jacob's room as well. But that's just a favorite place of mine to go to. Then we have another Hill House here in North Texas called Hill House Manor up in Gainesville, where they actually found a well underneath the floorboard, and she's actually pulled up the floorboard. This thing goes like 30 feet deep. There's water at the bottom of it. It's got the stones all around it. She's put glass on top of it so you can look down in it. It's got a whole lot of backstory to it that's had like a lot of action there when I went to that one as well. But Texas is just a hot spot for a lot of stuff. Just have to be willing to travel.
Yeah. Well, one thing about the Haunted Hill House is, as soon as I got there, I was instantly drawn to the upstairs. So when the other groups were, I don't know what they were doing, I was like, peace out. I just started going by myself upstairs, and I was like, whoosh. As soon as I start going up and it gets darker, that's where I was hit with a wall. It felt like a wall. I was like, whoa. Yeah. And I felt like just eyes staring at me. And then we had done some sessions, and I heard some growlings, some noises really loud. And but we got some cool stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely haunted.
That's the first place I ever heard a disembodied voice. After all these years, that was the first place I heard it. We were in what they call the scratcher room, which is the one that has the poker table in it.
Yeah.
The three of us literally were just sitting there trying to communicate. Nothing was happening. So we got up and we went to go to the overpass room, which goes over to the seance room. Basically, it's a hallway. they had just stepped into the seance room. I literally stepped out of the scratch room into the hallway, and as clear as day, we hear, "Get out," behind me in that room. I turn around, there's nobody else in there. And I look at the, Renee and Phil, and, they're looking at me and they're like, "Yeah, we heard that too." And I was like, "Thank God it wasn't just me." Besides that, upstairs, that is where Toby resides. Also at the very top of the stairs, there's a lot of trauma right there, because that's where Joshua was being beaten. There, where Willie decided to, his mother, I think it was a Sarah, or it might have been Elizabeth. I don't remember which one was his mother. Yeah. But yeah, she went up there to try to stop Willie, and he shot her dead on the stairs right there with a gun. And then Joshua crawled back into his room. There's like a which is really weird, a chimney in there that doesn't go outside of the house. It stops before the roof. So you go back there, you can actually see, and you're like, why did they build this? But he crawled on the other, at least it said, speculated, that he crawled behind that fireplace and basically died from basically the inflictions that happened from Willie. Then, of course, Emily's room over there, it said that Toby was actually summoned in a seance there, because back in I believe the 90s, there was a family that was into occultism, and they were, one of the daughters was up there in Emily's room doing a seance, and they ended up summoning Toby. Since then, Toby is like the main demon of the house. He's most of the time, I feel that he only does stuff to people that have bad intentions or have done something bad, because he sees what we can't. Because I have never had a problem with him. I've never had anything bad happen to me. I've heard hissing, growling, but never felt unsafe, where there are other people that, people who try to steal stuff. He's followed them home. I do think he's a jokester, and he likes to pull pranks, or if he feels that you shouldn't be there, he's like a protector of the home. He's like, I'm going to mess with you till you leave. But, I love Toby. I think Toby's a hoot. Some people are scared to death of him. But it just altogether, Hill House is one of my favorite places, most active. And just past that, Mineral Springs in Alton, Illinois, just across the way from St. Louis. That one had a lot of action. There was also the Unitarian Church, First Unitarian Church there, which unfortunately has just been bought, so they're not going to do any more investigations there. I got to go to the last one, but under the church itself, they actually have a crawl space that was used in the Underground Railroad. It was phenomenal. I got filthy as heck crawling back there, but it was well worth doing it. The second most probably powerful place I've been to was the McIntyre Villa thus far, and I just so much stuff there as well.
Awesome. Do you want to tell us where people can reach you? Like your well, we're gonna put your links up at just so people can look you up.
Unfortunately, because there's me and then there's my team, the Paradox. So it's the Paradox Media on basically all the platforms. You've got Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We do have a lot of videos on the YouTube that are part of the team. Then we have a bunch of them that are on mine, which is Mudrats Mudpit. And like I said, you can find them on both TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Myself is Chuck Mudrat Webb. But yeah, we got a few videos up. I have not been as diligent as I should be. I've got so much I need to just post, but I'll get it out there eventually. I get so drawn into doing all the experiences that sometimes I go and I forget to record stuff because I'm there.
I've done that.
I've been too. Me too.
Exactly. They're like, why didn't you live stream? I'm like, oh, my bad. I forgot you were even here. Going,
Yeah. But also some places it's really hard to go live. The connection's bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I tried to go live in some places and it just kicked me off or it wouldn't turn on at all. And I'm like, okay, never mind. So you're in the moment of it and I'm not going to stop, and so, yeah, I feel you. I feel you on
big
that.
time. And, of course, then, some places you go down to the basement. Here in Texas, we don't really have basements. So you
Yeah.
know, you go up north, like into Kansas, Illinois, there's basements everywhere. And so you go down into a basement, you have no reception down there trying to, you know, do a live stream. You know, it ain't happening. So
Nope. Well, anything else you want to tell the audience?
these two ladies here are awesome. They're awesome people. Follow them,
Thank
like
you.
them, share, get it out there. Come in every week, get on their podcast, get out there and watch it. Share it with your friends.
Thank you. Thank you.
Then please follow him and his people
Yes.
too. His group.
Exactly.
If not, I'll follow you home.
Yes.
Get it.
We all have a list of people we're going to haunt once we're
You're
dead.
right.
Yes.
Hey, I'm not haunting. I'm just gonna follow them home. Like if you see a strange car outside your house.
Oh, well, there it is.
And you might, because we're making plans to maybe do some investigations together. So
Yes, we
maybe
are.
we'll run into us somewhere in Texas, maybe. Yeehaw, partner. So
Never
stay
count
tuned
anybody
for
out.
that.
You know, be nice to
Surprises.
everybody. You never know who you're going to get along with, who you might run into again, who you might have the pleasure of getting on their podcast.
Well, there you go. It's very true. Well, thank you again. It was really nice having you. And please, you know, do come back.
Oh, anytime you guys want.
With
Just
all your
holler out and I'll go on.
teammates.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure. And again, all the links and everything will be on the description. So follow him, his team, and you know, YouTube. Especially, they have a lot of cool stuff up there. So don't miss it. All right. Thank you. And
See you
as
in the shadows.
always, blessings. And we love you.